Gregory Rasputin was one of Russia's most controversial and mysterious figures. Although there is much uncertainty that clouds his life and the influence he exerted, all historians agree that his presence played a significant role in the unrest of the Russian people. Gregory Rasputin was relevant to history because he gained a lot of power within the Russian government. His corruption led to problems within Russia, and his connection to the royal family led to their downfall.
Perfect.
Gregory Rasputin was born in 1869 into a Russian peasant family in Siberia. At age 16, he was sentenced to 3 months in prison and later served his term at a monastery in Siberia. There he met a monk named Makary. Rasputin modeled himself after Makary and became interested in manipulating people through their weaknesses and beliefs, such as personal, social habits, politics, and religion. Rasputin became a cynical and ruthless manipulator and spread his beliefs around. In 1903, he arrived in St. Petersburg, the capital of Russia. He was accommodated by Father Sergei, who was a political opponent of Tsar Nicholas II. At parties hosted by Father Sergei, Rasputin astonished the people of St. Petersburg by his predictions that Russia would be defeated in the Russo-Japanese War in 1904, and that the Russian Navy would sink down, which was exactly what happened. Rasputin continued his wanderings as a self-proclaimed holy man, often using lies and hypnotism to intimidate people into submission and then use them for his own goals. The royal family was facing some health difficulties with their son, Prince Alexei Nikolaevich Romanov, who was a hemophiliac. Rasputin convinced the Empress, Tsarina Alexandra, that he could improve their son's condition. He used the royal family's anxiety and desperation about their son in a crafty way to achieve his own goals. Tsarina Alexandra even had him protected at all times by the Russian security. Rasputin, according to the biography of Rasputin by Steve Sholokhanov, persuaded the Empress and her son to ensure that he would always have a permanent position in the Tsar's palaces. He was appointed to an official court position as personal healer to Prince Alexei Romanov. Rasputin didn't have a huge beneficial effect on the prince, but it was enough to convince the Empress and her son to depend on him greatly. He took all credit for any improvements of the prince's health, which solidified his control over the royal family. The Empress was a patron of Rasputin, and he established himself as an extremely powerful figure within the Russian court.
Rasputin became an image of corruption throughout Russia. Soon, Rasputin and the people behind him succeeded in using his influence to entangle many politicians in scandals, including dirty manipulations involving wives, drinking parties, promiscuity, and massive embezzlement of the government funds during the First World War. Also manipulated the Empress Tsarina Alexandra to make controversial political appointments, which led to a bitter divide within all classes of the Russian society. Rasputin's manipulative activities provoked many conflicts within the Russian government and the Russian military command during the First World War. On an instance in 1914, while visiting a Siberian city of Tobolsk, Rasputin was attacked by a former prostitute friend, Kurina Guziba. She wounded him in the stomach with a knife and later stated that Rasputin is the Antichrist harmful to the people of Russia. However, Rasputin's most destructive actions were committed in 1916 and the 10 years after that. He convinced the Tsar Nicholas II to move from St. Petersburg to the front lines of Belarus, only to leave the Empress Alexandra alone under his influence. A decade of Rasputin's destructive manipulations led to an irreparable political and economic damage that caused a bitter divide within the government as well as all social classes of Russia. He also seduced women with his charm, preached, and entertained. It was rumored that he organized his own sect performing religious sex rituals. Rasputin's unholy behavior reached Nicholas II. Personal life, according to Wikipedia, Rasputin's main handler was a St. Petersburg underworld drug lord who controlled Rasputin through the drug addictions and often instructed Rasputin about his political moves. In 1916, during the most difficult time for Russia of World War I, Rasputin was secretly negotiating a peace treaty with Germany while Russia's position in the war was not good. Rasputin's brutal death was drawn out over the course of 12 hours, according to Russiapedia, and ended with him being dragged to the icy waters of the Neva River, where he eventually drowned. Even after his death, Rasputin still remained dangerous and could be used as a destructive tool because of the threatening message he left to Tsar Nicholas II in Alexandria, which predicted their death and the disaster for Russia as a country.
Oh my god, I know. Rasputin's connection to the royal family of Russia is believed by many historians to have contributed to their downfall in 1917. Historians agree that his influence on the Romanovs led to their increasing unpopularity among the Russian people. Rasputin was hated most among the nobles, especially Nicholas's family members. He appeared to them as a drunk, dirty man who infiltrated his way into the royal family, appointed and dismissed ministers as he pleased, was the central figure in St. Petersburg's scandal news over 10 years, and had control over the Tsar in some strange way. Rasputin had become one of the most hated people in Russia. During World War I, Nicholas II left to fight, which meant Rasputin held power. His behavior outraged important noblemen, but his hold over the Tsarina was as great as ever. The Romanovs referred to Rasputin as our friend, but his enemies called him a mad monk. In December 1916, according to the history learning site, Rasputin was murdered by those he angered most, the nobility. The shame he brought to the royal family through his corruptions and control over them is one of the main reasons why they were overthrown in 1917. Just 10 weeks after his death, the Romanov dynasty was overthrown during the Russian Revolution, and less than 2 years later, the entire family was executed, according to Russiapedia on prominent Russians in history.
Mysterious and dark individuals of Russian history. Grigory Rasputin was relevant to history because he gained a lot of power within the Russian government. His corruption led to problems within Russia, and his connection to the royal family led to their eventual downfall. Although there is so much uncertainty that clouds Rasputin's life and the influence he exerted, many historians will agree that his presence played a significant role in the unrest of the Russian people and the government.
Oh, that end is tiring.
Grigory Rasputin was a one.
Tara. Just have her Cyprus and her son.
Grigory Rasputin was a wandering peasant who eventually
You're restarting. Tara.
led to an. I lost my place now.
Rasputin became a single. Rasputin became a cynical and ruthless. No.
Okay, ready? Grigory Rasputin was a one.
Tara. Just have her say.